I'm going to record the meeting because I always send it out. If anybody feels like doesn't want to share their image or anything like that, feel free to take yourself off video. It doesn't record the names, but you're welcome to take your name off too. But we'll have it so that anybody in the future can also follow along. And great. I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna share my screen and we'll dive right in. Welcome, welcome. So you are indeed at Western Wisconsin for Nonpartisan Voting Districts monthly meeting, where we're gonna catch up on what all the teams have been doing and hear from Patty Schachtner, former senator. And I'm trying to make this a little more fun for everyone. So I added a cartoon for you. It says, let's never forget that the public's desire for transparency has to be balanced with our need for concealment, in case you can think of any room in which someone might be saying that. So same old, same old. The only difference is tonight we're not going to break out into small sessions. We're going to stay all together and kind of brainstorm ideas for events this summer. So you can get your wheels turning on that. Little update on our possible timeline that all of you have seen many times is that the Fair Maps bill is currently in the Legislative Reference Bureau. So it'll have a bill number soon, and when it does, we'll let you know immediately. I know Bob is eager to get that number. So big news, it's a good time to call legislators and let them know that we'd like them to support that. And then everything else is kind of the same. We're still expecting census numbers mid-August, and maps will come shortly after. And so let's start with updates from the team. Anne is first.
No update, Janelle. You just gave it that the bill, Fair Maps bill has been introduced. Yes, contact your legislator, please, and ask him or her to support the bill, co-sponsor it, or for sure vote for it. Get it out of committee, get it on the floor so it can be voted on. That's just what we need to have done right now.
I'll add that there's a petition.
We're still hoping to do outreach by contacting organizations so that they will contact legislators. It's summer. There's not a lot happening right there right now, but this is our plan still to keep reaching out so that more and more people will be in touch with their legislators. Douglas, have you got anything else to add?
The only other thing I'll add is that there's a petition and it's in my part, but it directly relates to what you're talking about, Anne.
Okay, that's all.
Awesome. And our legal liaison, Carol Skinner, is in court, so she can't be here right now, but I'll just let you know there was big news. You probably heard mid-May that the Will Jensen rules change request was rejected. So any case that goes to the Supreme Court will go through all of the lower courts and have all of the due process that will happen. So that's really, really good news for us. It's another piece of good news that's coming out of the Wisconsin Supreme Court and makes us hopeful that any other decisions about fair maps could be positive as well. But it was just a rules change petition, but it could have made a huge difference. So thanks for everyone who submitted comments on that. And I'll send out the article in the follow-up with that you can read in case you missed it. Otherwise, it's on our Facebook page, and I'm sure Carlene's as well, the Fair Maps Coalition page. Next, we'll dive into the team that supports the People's Map Commission. And so there are 4 parts to that. There's letter writing, art for nonpartisan districts, Color Me Fair, and communities of interest. So I will start with communities of interest. We are collecting these for the People's Map Commission. They would like to know, what's important to you, who your community is, what it's like in your area. These maps are super fun to make. We've been making them a districtor, and many of us on this call are able to make them. So we'd love to make one for you and any of your friends. And we'd like for you to make some too if you're interested. But this Saturday in Hudson from 3 to 7 p.m. we'll be at Hop and Barrel for a Mappy Hour. And you can come show up and one of us will help you draw your community of interest map. There's nothing you need to do to prepare. We'll ask you some questions and it'll be really fun. So come anytime between 3 and 7 to Hop and Barrel in Hudson this Saturday. Otherwise, we also have some Zoom Mappy Hours, and you can get to them from going to our website, and we'll help you do that online if you'd rather do it online. And there's also a guide here, really great step-by-step with screen captures and all to help you do it if you want to do it on your own. So be sure to get this in. It's a great tool for the People's Map Commission, and it's a great way to show that this is an open, transparent process taking into account what the people have to say. So I encourage you to participate in that process. Next, I'll pass it to Don. Don, you're on mute.
There. Here's a slide you saw last month. The important thing is the URL down at the bottom. Need to spread the word. We keep spreading the word in social media and other venues. We're 1 month into the contest. We got 2 more months to go, June and July. We got 3 entries. That may not sound like a lot, but they're from students at Augusta colleges like Marquette, Carnegie Mellon, and good old UW River Falls. So I expect more maps to come in. This is I added this slide, Janelle. I put the scores for the 3 maps that have come in. They're the top 3 lines here. I know people don't like numbers, but I like numbers. The rest of them are published maps on DRA 2020. And it just gives you, it gives me an idea of what kind of scores people can have on this. I just thought it might be interested to have this in historical context. So here are 7 maps, 7 maps that the commissioners, if they want, can look at and get some ideas about drawing their own maps. I know they started thinking really hard about that. I tuned into the May 26th meeting of the Line Drawers Subcommittee. And I think they're gonna do well, but we're gonna support them with these maps. Long way to go. Thanks to Carlene for getting our ad there in the newsletter from the Fair Maps Commission, and thanks to Janelle for sprucing up our webpage. I do have 250 cards that can be passed out at in-person events. So if you're at an in-person event and you want that cards that are just what the previous slide showed, contact me and I'll find a way to get them to you.
Bob?
Hey, Don, this is Bob. Do you by any chance?
Bob, I didn't know you were there.
Yep. Do you by any chance have the score that the 2011, the existing district map would have on that?
No, I don't have that up there.
It would, and I know you've been, a lot of the work has been falling on your shoulders, but if you had that, that would be a great contrast.
Yeah, it would be.
And I would be happy to use that in any tweets and as kind of a contrast to what we've already got.
Okay.
And there's a question, Don, if you want to maybe briefly explain the numbers. I know your criteria is very closely aligned to the People's Map Commission criteria, but if you want to just explain?
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but the first column is just the deviation from total equality in the assembly district. So the lower the number, the better. Those are percentages. Try to get that under 10%. The next column is proportional. That sort of represents your rating on how well the assembly would represent the voting of the past few state elections. Next column, competitiveness, that just is a measure of how many sort of 45, 55% districts there are in your map based on voting records of the past, say, 5 years. Minority opportunity is the next column. How well does your map provide opportunities for majority minority assembly districts? Compactness is a measure of how circular the regions are, your assembly districts, and split is how well you avoid county splitting with your assembly districts. And the score is our weighted average of those 5 aspects. People's Map Commission is emphasizing the split and the compact. They're de-emphasizing the competitiveness, and they're going to look at proportionality after they've drawn the maps.
So I'll just say that the great news about the Fair Maps movement is that there's something for everyone. And if you like getting deep into the maps and the criteria, then there's a home for you. And if you don't, and you like socializing and drinking beer, there's a place for you too. So if
Or you
this,
could do both. I did both at the first Mappy Hour, and was trying to get people recruited to the contest too, as we do our COIs.
yeah. So
Yeah, you guys did 17 maps, didn't you, over those hours? That's
17
great.
or 18, I think.
18,
Yeah.
yeah, at our event in
That was good.
Menominee, 18 maps in 3 hours or 3.5 hours. Pretty great. All right. I'll cover this. Carol Motaz is leading our team for Art for Nonpartisan Districts, and I'll cover her slide for her. There's a little bit of interest from some high school teachers to do art projects around communities that are important to the students, so that's in the works. We are interested in anyone who wants to do an individual art project or with a team. We're happy to support teams in any way that they would like. And the county art projects, we did not get any takers. So we're looking at some other ways to get involved, which could be a billboard. Thanks, Cheryl, for displaying the beautiful one that's on I-94 in your background, or some different types of Burma shave signs. So that's being discussed, and we'll report back on that and exactly what's going to happen. And then the social video and social media team, I wanted to let you know there was a great presentation and a lot of resources that came out in the last couple of weeks for messaging around fair maps, fair districts, ending gerrymandering. And so you're going to see a lot of this coming out on social media in the next few weeks. So be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you are. You'll see some really, really fun and powerful images that will hopefully engage different kinds of audiences. And now I want to open it up to everyone on this call. We've talked about in-person events. We'll just take like 10 minutes here. We've talked about doing more in-person events with increased vaccination, beautiful weather. And I am curious to hear from you. I know a few people have already told me that, whoops, that's not what I want to do. A few people have already told me that county fairs would be a really interesting thing for them to participate in, but I'm curious, does anybody have ideas, thoughts about how we can take advantage of possible outdoor in-person events this summer. You can just take yourself off mute and share any ideas you have.
The Mappy Hour last Thursday at the Nona Brewery, I thought was very refreshing. You know, after months and months of seeing people on these screens, it was really great to just be with people and be in the same room and have the flow of conversation is different, I think. And it's just, I guess I knew that beforehand, but it really struck me profoundly when we were there. So I think whatever we do, it's a good thing. It helps build solidarity, I think.
Janelle, I was going to add, I can't even tell you dates, though I did see something in the local paper about the fact that there's going to be music in the park on Main Street in River Falls. And that might be someplace where we can hand out materials. We have those handouts. Does anybody know whether they're going to be doing anything at the amphitheater they used to have until COVID? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday night concerts at the amphitheater on campus?
If I can respond to that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, sorry. They had what they call Chilled on the Hill every summer, and it was always on Tuesdays. And they had them for every year except last year, of course, due to the pandemic. But I haven't heard any more about if they're going to have any more concerts at the amphitheater this year.
It's a great idea. Any other kind of events like that that are maybe happening in both of these happen to be in River Falls, but other places around?
Hudson just announced their concert in the Park Series.
Oh, did they?
And so did St. Croix Falls.
Great.
Music on the Overlook starts this coming Friday.
I think it would be important for us to have some sort of handout in order to be able to start a conversation with people. They're going to be going to these things for entertainment, so we'll have to be aware that we don't want to interfere with that. But what do we have something we can hand out? I know that Cheryl has handed me a trifold that I don't know if we're using that.
I'll let Cheryl talk about it. Cheryl,
we have just reprinted that. We just reprinted 1,000, and they're with Sarah in River Falls. So if you are going to an event and want something to hand out, let us know. Let us know how many you want, and we will get those to you. I don't know if people have seen those, but it's a trifold. It's got a picture of what gerrymandering does in the inside, and it talks about make sure you contact your legislator, and it gives some URL addresses where they can find any Wisconsin legislator. So it could be given to audiences any place in Wisconsin.
I'll volunteer that I have lots of bumper stickers that I'm happy to put in the mail and send to you. And I just sent Carol Skinner a whole bunch of petitions and this handout that the fact fiction that you all produced, plus the other side, the gerrymandering 101. So I sent her a small stack, but I have a big stack, and I'm happy to send stuff to you, as well as bumper stickers.
I would say we'd love bumper stickers. Those are really fun to give out at the events. So this is the handout. You can get to it from our website too. If you go to our website, and then there's printable trifold handout, why your representatives don't listen to you. But as Cheryl said, we're happy mail those or figure out how to get them to you. So just email Cheryl or Sarah or myself and we'll get them to you.
I was gonna ask
This is
Bob,
what-
I think Bob was the one who said something about the Hudson Amphitheater concerts. And in the past, we've gone to the ones with the Minnesota Orchestra, which is right around the 4th of July. Is that on the schedule?
I'll check. I was looking right now to see if it cost anything to set up a booth there, but I'll
Well, why
check.
wouldn't we just walk around amongst people sitting on blankets and in chairs and pass out things?
Well, that's also a very good idea. I just hadn't thought of that.
Okay, I think that beats having them come to us since they're gonna settle in their chairs and not want to get up again. But I was gonna say that Minnesota Orchestra, I don't go to the other ones. Minnesota Orchestra has hundreds of people at it.
Do you
So-
Yeah,
think
this is
anyone,
Linda Hendricks from New Richmond, and I just wanted to say that starting tomorrow at 3 to 9 and Saturday from 9 to 3, there's the New Richmond Art Fair is happening.
Oh, yeah.
And so that might be a really good opportunity to pass out materials. And then also, I don't know if you guys know the Hudson Bridge Group, but they do bridge activities over the bridge. And I'm wondering about rallies, Fair Maps rallies, or what I'd like to get going too is wolf rallies, at least one. But they're a really active group, and the St. Croix County Democrats and the Bridge Group are kind of consolidating and working on things together, which is really nice. So I just wanted to bring those two ideas to you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Linda. I'll just say that our group, because we're nonpartisan and we have a fiscal sponsor that's a 501c3, and because we think it's the right thing for this movement, we're completely nonpartisan. So we can bring things like we've done a few presentations at Dems groups and things like that, and we can always give the same or offer the same for a Republican group, but we can't collaborate or work on events together with political parties. So that's one line that it's great if other people are doing things too, and our movement is stronger the more people that are working on it, but we just want to make sure we don't collaborate with any political parties.
Janelle?
One idea I have is that are they having the annual Arts and Crafts Fair on the White Pathway this year?
That's Cheryl would know.
Is that Cheryl here right now? I don't see her.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm right here. I don't know if you can see me or if it moves around when I talk. But yes, CAB is full of artists. On our webpage, we have said that we have so many artists, we don't want any more to apply. We will have to get final permission from the city to hold it. And that is usually done in July or August. We assume that we will be approved because it looks like everything is going well with the vaccinations. So we will probably be approved, but we are planning to have Art on the Kinney this year. By the way, it will be Saturday, September 11.
Janelle?
Thank you.
Yeah, Don?
I hesitate to suggest it, but where people are expecting handouts is any town parade. Politicians march in a parade. We could have Ann Leak don her dragon suit and someone slay her down 2nd Street in River Falls. Just have to do that. Parades, I think town parades is an ideal place
They're
to.
very expensive. I think the entry fee for the River Falls Parade a couple years ago was $100 or maybe more. I can't quite remember.
Oh,
The parades are very expensive.
$100. Whoa.
Some of them are free. and some have big price tags. You don't want to go up to Wanigan Days in St. Croix Falls because they're more like $300. It's ridiculous. I did just look up the UW River Falls Amphitheater concerts are canceled for this year due to COVID.
I was gonna ask Tom, what is I see in chat, Tom, that there's a reverse parade on the 16th of July in River Falls. I don't even know what that is.
Well, I don't know exactly, but I'm told that a parade that the floats and the booths and so on are on 2nd Street, and people walk down the street instead of the parade going down the street.
Okay. I was also going to suggest that since Tom and I are also part of an environmental group, we would be interested in not having a whole lot of litter and waste handed out. And it occurs to me that after parades, we often find stuff all over the ground that people got handouts and they don't even want it. And so I really think what we need to do, my opinion, is that we really need to be in a situation where we can have a conversation with people. It might be brief, it might be an elevator speech, but it's still just passing a brochure to them and thinking that they're going to stand at a parade and read it and not throw it on the ground is a bit troublesome for me.
That's great. And Sarah Church, also from our group, I don't think she's here tonight, but she made a little business card that has a QR code that goes straight to our website, the FAQs, and that's kind of a great way to either hand something out that's much smaller or have people just scan it with their phone and then they have it there and they don't even need to take a piece of paper. So that's another great option. I think I'm gonna maybe wrap this up right now unless does someone have a pressing idea they want to share? Yeah, Anne.
Well, look in the chat. Carlene put a picture in of some gerrymandered county signs, really cleverly done. If someone wants to get some plywood and make some gerrymandered signs like that, that could show up around the area, it would be great. Really, really cute, very good visual. So
Might be something to engage that art project thing.
yeah.
What your districts are now and what they could be.
Great, cool, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Some of these things we'll definitely be able to organize as a group, and some things, if people just are going somewhere and you want to bring some brochures or some business cards with you, or just be really intentional to talk about this issue with people you know, that would be really great. And the good news is with events that we're planning this summer, it's always easy to say, hey, come to Mappy Hour in Hudson, or we're going to have others in June and July and August. So really easy way to talk to people about this issue and invite them to learn more. So thank you all very much. I'll just show this slide real quick. One idea is to have booths at the county fairs. And so I put the dates here and I'll share them in the follow-up too, but I'd love for people to think about if this is something that they would maybe consider helping out with. We would need like a core group of 3 to 5 people in each county to take on their county fair. So we wouldn't be able to do it unless we really had some people that said, okay, I'm committed to doing this. But I think it would be a great way of reaching out to a different crowd and meeting different people. And to Barb's point, really being able to have short conversations with people on the topic.
Janelle, Polk County, our registration, a deadline for the county fair was May 10th. So I mean, they're already set with their booths. And so I don't know what the other counties are doing, but I know that was the deadline for us.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. I know I talked to St. Croix County today, Buffalo, Pepin. Dan let me know about Dunn, and we do still have plenty of time in those ones, but that's good to know. I'll add that registration deadline column to my planning spreadsheet. Thank you. All right, now we'll switch gears. Thank you. Well, thanks everyone for those really, really good ideas. I think sounds like there will be a lot of fun ways to get the word out there and hear some good music at the same time, perhaps. So now we'll switch gears. Patty Schachtner is here with us. Welcome, Patty. Really great to have you here. Some of you may know Patty is our senator for the 10th Senate District from 2018 to 2020. We were hoping to have her last month, but her job as the county chief medical examiner called her to duty and she was not able to join us last month. So great to have you, Patty. I'm going to stop sharing here. And if you're willing to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about how gerrymandering has intersected with your life, and then maybe we can open it up for questions.
Sure. So it's so nice to see so many familiar faces. My name's Patty Schachtner. I live in Somerset. I've lived here all my life. I spent a very short amount of time in the legislature from 2018 to 2020 when I won a special election, basically due to low turnout. The gerrymandering of the district, they were so arrogant about it that they just didn't think that they could lose. And I had 12,000 votes for the Senate district. And this time I lost and I had over 40,000 votes. So every vote matters. And, you know, that I think for this area, that is one of the reasons why gerrymandering is so, why people really are like, yeah, we're against it, but we know it helps us win. So they realize that if they, yes, in theory, we don't want gerrymandering, but if we do go with fair maps, then it may impact us. So people are in a quandary, and that's the honest truth. I mean, people want maps to be fair, but they like the results that they have right now. So understanding what gerrymandering is and really educating folks as to why it's better for them is really important. And one of the things I do is I bring out the map maker game. So the map maker game was on Kickstarter. And it is a fun and entertaining way, if you're board game people, to actually show people, to be able to show how gerrymandering works. And I have played this game maybe 50 times, and I've never had the same map twice. And it just is so interesting because it all depends on the little groups that are involved and all this here. And it's very interesting, but it is a really simple way to start the conversation about map gerrymandering, especially with those folks that are kind of like standoffish. You know, let's play a game and when you see how it happens, then you realize how these crazy little maps get made. In my district, it's really interesting, our former district, it was really interesting to look at the map and how it came out, because it literally went around my predecessor's property. I mean, around the property, it wasn't a fair block. It was so that's well thought out. So as we're moving forward, and we know gerrymandering and voting is really on the top of everybody's mind, we have to really think about the reality of the legislation. To your face, legislators are going to be like, yes, I support you, but you need to get it in paper. If they don't sign on to your pledges, they're not going to do it. Once they get down to Madison, they do what's going on in Madison. So get them to pledge. And if they don't pledge, then make sure and remind them in your literature and your talking points that they're not pledging, that they're not signing up for it. Whenever you send letters out to legislatures, make sure that you send letters to legislatures in both parties so they're both getting the same letter. Because if they're not, then they can just say, well, I did my best. And that was the one thing I learned when I was down in Madison was legislators will come up here and say, I tried really hard. But when they get down in Madison, And this is across the board. They do what's going on in Madison. So you, as for myself, even now, I hold my legislators much more accountable than I ever did before. If you're not going to vote for something that I believe in, I would rather you tell me from the beginning that you're not going to do it than to tell me that you support it and plan on doing it and not do it. And those are just honest expectations that we have in everyday workplaces, in our lives. That is just respect. So when we start having the conversation about gerrymandering and what does it mean and what does it do, you have to set up the boundaries on what it is your expectations are of your legislators. All the surveys show that 70% of Wisconsinites want fair maps. It's the legislators that are holding it up. It's not the people. The people have spoken. 70% of the people have said we want fair maps, but we're still paying for courts. We're still paying special costs for lawyers to fight fair maps. There's a reason. It's power. And at the end of the day, that's what this conversation is about, is power. And the power lies in the maps. Change the maps, change the power. And there are lots and lots of lobbyists and everyone else down in Madison and Washington, D.C. that have a lot of time and energy invested in making sure the maps are the way they are. So as activists who are really fighting for this, you have to really, really plan what your message is, communicate your message over and over and over again, exactly the same. You must be consistent in everything that you talk about. When you talk to the legislators, ask for a response and then repeat it and do it over and over and over again. You have to be consistent and repetitive. And every single time you reach out to your own personal legislature, look in your blue book and look up a legislator and CC them. Get to know all the legislators, not just your legislator, because all the legislators are having these same conversations. But what they do is keep track of how many calls did I get on gerrymandering? Well, for the last 3 months, we've had 20, but I've had 300 calls on not funding unemployment. So unemployment's where I'm going to focus. And then when they come back here, they're like, sorry, Janelle, only 20 people called us on gerrymandering. So it's really not as important as you think it is. So make sure that you're constantly, set up a day or whatever, a schedule of getting your message out, having a package letter, getting all your email addresses in order, and then hit send and make sure they get out there. And then 2 weeks from now, do it again. Because every time you do it, their staff has to respond. And you want to get responses. And make sure it's not just your person. Make sure to connect both sides of the state so that everywhere in the state, they're going to know Barbara Peterson's name. They're going to know Don's name. They're going to know Bob's name because they keep sending me emails. And they're in your district. They're not my district. Why are your people sending me emails? And that's how you do it. The one thing I learned in Madison was how to get heard, and just contacting your legislator doesn't do anything because it all goes on a spreadsheet. It's all put in data points and it's all goes by issue. And if the issue is gerrymandering and it's not up here, you're not going to make the cut. So you have to have a very strategic plan, be consistent with your plan, be consistent with your message, have it all it's just as easy for the same person to come up with one letter and start cutting, put together a legislative email list. It takes time to do it, but you can get it, put it together and start sending them out. And then you send that there, same thing to all the members of your group, and you have all of you send them out all throughout the state. If every 2 weeks they get flooded with multiple emails on the same topic, they're going to see that you mean business. And at the same time you're doing that, as you start garnering your list of people who are like, yeah, this is really important and I want to do this, you add them. Okay, they'll say, what can I do? Here's a letter. Email this group of legislators, and you build on your list. And just remember, you just keep building. And I see in a comment, our legislators do not reply or do not respond. So here's the interesting trick. This is why you then do an open records request and ask how many times they've gotten requests for information on gerrymandering. You can do that. You can say, I want to know how many open requests for information in the email boxes did you get for gerrymandering? And then you can turn around and say, hey, representative, I open records you. You got this many requests for gerrymandering. Don't tell me you're not getting it. I know you are, because we're sending you the information. You are there to represent us. Just because it doesn't meet the standards of your leadership doesn't mean it doesn't represent us, and you represent us. And we, the people, want you, the representative that is working for us, to have a conversation about gerrymandering. And when they say, well, yeah, but Patty Schachtner won once, feel free to say it was low voter turnout. That's fine. It was a fluke. She fooled you, whatever. And say, and you made sure it didn't happen again. Good for you. We're on to you. We saw what happened. Because that's their argument. Their argument every time is Patty Schachtner won, so it's not gerrymandered. So throw me under the bus. Really, I'm resilient. I'll pick myself right up. Get that. But do not let that be the excuse. So you have to be consistent. You have to CC and just keep CCing everybody. It will annoy the crap out of them. But if they're good legislators, they will start paying attention.
Patty, you're not suggesting that we group email the entire list. You're saying individual emails to legislators.
Individual, yeah. If someone can take the time to go through, I don't know how to do it, but there's probably a database somewhere of all the email addresses of all the legislators in the assembly and in the Senate. And you know who your senator is, and you know who your assembly people is. So if you just keep sending them the letters, if it matters to them, they'll pay attention. But if it doesn't, it just goes out the window. But if you send it to them and maybe some people from Milwaukee, now all of a sudden, like, crap, why are you sending it to Milwaukee? Well, just watch next week. I'm sending it to Ashland, just because I know it bugs you. Get that? Because now they know their business in that. They don't want you to go beyond there. I can't tell you how many times I was in the Senate that's what people who knew how to play the game, that's how they did it. So I would be responding to people out of the district all the time because they sent requests for information in that. So do the same thing. We do a really good job of contacting our people and then saying they don't respond, and then we just give up. What we have to do is then the next one, well, obviously you must miss my email because this here person did respond to me. Maybe now you will. I'm CCing them again just to make sure. Maybe there's a glitch in my email. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong. And it's just, they play a game, and it is a game, and politics is a game of winners and losers. And at the end of the day, what we are trying to do with fair maps is even it up so that it's a game that offers equity and equality for all of us, so that we all get representatives that respond to us, not representatives who feel entitled to their positions that only respond to people who are like-minded.
Thanks, Patty. I have a question. So when you copy another legislator, should it be of the same party, different party? Does it matter?
Oh, different. No, and never do it the same, because again, it's like-minded in that. You always do both sides in that. And that was a legislator that told me at an event I was at they're like, every time you send something to your local your local senator, send it to me because I know it'll drive them crazy. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, that's really awesome in that. So that's what I do. And then they have to pay attention because now they know somewhere on a floor speech, there's going to be some senator or some assembly person somewhere going, well, when I got an email from one of your constituents, because you wouldn't do anything with them, you know, I helped them out and this is what I did for them. And that's the way the game is played. It's like high school. It's like high school. And it really is.
Patty, do they get talking points? Because we've heard people say that they're saying, well, it's unconstitutional for us to have anybody outside of the legislature do the mapping.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're given that as a talking point. It's just one of several.
Yes. Yes. They have talking points for everything and that. And it's like, well, if it's unconstitutional, because 70% of the Wisconsinites want it changed, and we know we can change the Constitution, why don't you have the courage to change the Constitution to meet the needs of the Wisconsinites? Or don't you care what the voters say? Like, dang it, I can't use that argument anymore either. And that you have to listen to what they're saying and then just go with another question, because we can always change the Constitution. You know, we can change that. If that's what the problem is, then why aren't you writing legislation to change that? Because 70% of Wisconsinites want this, and just keep pounding that number. The counties that are represented in this area have all voted for fair maps. So we've all done the work and you're not doing your part. So why? And just to say that it's unconstitutional is a weak and lazy and lame excuse at best.
That's a lie too.
That's right.
I've read the Constitution and it's just pretty much a blatant lie.
Yeah. So then you just bring your Constitution with and say, can you point it out? I got it right here. Here it is. Show me what page. I'm sure I missed it. Didn't have my cheaters on. I'm sure I missed it.
Oh God, Patty, I'd love to have coffee with you. Hey, I don't want to dominate this, but does anybody know? I understood that is it Senator or Assemblyman Smith was going to be introducing a bill. Has it been introduced and numbered? That's because people are asking if we can write and refer to that legislation.
You know, I know they introduced it. I don't know if it's been numbered yet, but I know if you call Senator Smith's office for any information on any of his bills, he will give it to you right away. He responds.
It has a legislative resource bureau tracking number, but it does not have a bill number. And Barbara, you're right. That does make it tougher to point to something specific. This right here, that's already on your docket, is what we want.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then usually what happens, you know, nobody will sign on to it because nobody wants their name on the bills. And then if they do sign on to it, and you have to have both parties, and you can have 50 Democrats across the board, but if you don't have a Republican on it, it's not going anywhere.
There are 3 Republicans currently on it, and there's some more who were pushing. I put the link for the online petition, and I already sent some to Carol for some of your in-person events.
Janelle, can we get all these links when this is over so that we can, I don't want to be looking at them right now.
Yeah, no worries. I'll put everything in the follow-up email.
Patty, I have a quick question. In your estimation, is it better to write or to call?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
So does one get weighed more heavily than another?
It all depends. Now, so here's the funny thing, another inside. So every day the email gets backed up at 6 o'clock. So one side of legislation, the legislators double delete all their emails at 5:30 or 5 o'clock every day. And the other side deletes their email once a week. You get to pick whichever side you want, but it's like, so you have to make sure in the memo that you put down gerrymandering, because then they have to save it, and then it goes into constituent work. So if there's no memo, they'll just delete it.
By memo, do you mean the subject line?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect.
The
Perfect.
memo line. I just really showed my age, didn't I? No one does memos anymore.
I just wanted to make sure. I like this instruction.
So
Yeah.
as an identifier, as a hashtag, if you will, is it better to have it say gerrymander or fair districts or fair maps?
You can do both. You can do both. And then when you do your open records request, you open record request, and then you put quotes that says, I am requesting records, under this statute. And I don't have it at the top of my head. And I'm looking for any and all emails from this date to this date with the words gerrymandering, fair maps, or fair districting anywhere in the email. And then the thing of it is, if you have CC'd other people, you should get the exact same information back from all of them. And if you don't, then they're deleting those emails. Oh yeah, I got yelled at all the time because I didn't delete my stuff effective and efficiently enough. I wasn't a deleter because I'm afraid. I just don't want to be called a big cheater. So I'm just like, I'm just saving them. I don't care.
So could you reiterate that the schedule again? You say if you're writing it.
Yeah, it backs up.
So it's better to write at 6 p.m. than at 5:23 because they're going to delete it at 5:30.
Everything is deleted every day for one certain party, and it's between 5:30 and 6 the backup happens. So they delete it before it gets into the backup, so it's like it never happened. And then they double delete it. So they delete it and then deleted all the trash.
Wow. So that was, I take it, not your party.
No. Like I said.
Thank you.
Those contacts then are not part of your open records laws because they've been deleted.
Correct.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So you want to, and you always want to put in there all emails received between the hours of 9 and 4:30. That'll really torque them. No, this is all coming from the mind of an investigator. So I'm like, I learned so much, and that's what I do as a living. I'm like, oh, I know you gave me parameters. I love parameters. I can always work within them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Huh. Do you want to talk to other groups locally?
You can let me, my schedule is getting a little busy in that, but I'm free to talk it to anybody because I believe in democracy. And I believe that I believe that no matter what, if democracy fails, we all fail. And I got 12 grandkids and I had a wonderful life, and I just want them to have at least what I had, but I'm hopeful that it's better. And this type of stuff, being in the legislature was eye-opening because I realized how much I didn't know, and how much when they say what happens in Madison, whatever goes on in Madison is a lifestyle. And just to give you an idea, when I was at a farm tour in our area with legislators on both sides of the aisle, and I drive a Kia. That's what I drive. I got my little rabbit, my gerbil car. And one of the folks came in and they had an Escalade. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful Escalade. And they literally got yelled at by their peers for bringing the Escalade to a farm because you have to bring your truck and your old rusty truck to farms around here because you want them to think that they're one of you. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. But that's how they operate the way they do, is they're everybody's friend, is they make sure and play the part. They always wear jeans. They always wear a flannel shirt. They always make sure and have a kind of a crappy truck or vehicle. And unless they're going to big CAFOs, then they bring their big trucks. Then they got to show a different side of them. But yeah, it's all a game and it's all an image, and it is all about power. And if your goal is to change power, and by change power, I mean taking the power away from legislators and putting it into the voters' hands the way it's supposed to be. Voters are supposed to pick their legislators and their presidents and their state folks on fair maps. Then that's what you do. And that you don't play a part. You are actually engaged in what's going on. And again, 70% of Wisconsinites in almost every single county has passed a fair maps resolution. So the people of Wisconsin have spoken, and there is an expectation that you listen. If you're not listening, then I need to know why. Yes, Bob.
Patty, in your opinion, is an office visit in Madison with 2 or 3 people an extremely powerful thing, or treated similar to an email?
Powerful. If you can get a contingency and have a fair maps day and go to every single place, and then literally go to every single office and then find out which ones are going to, and legislative days usually happen in the wintertime, January, February, March. But piggyback on another legislative day, like there's when the River Falls Chamber goes down, like piggyback on that their day, or so when all the business people are going down, then piggyback on that, because then they'll be there.
That is a great idea.
If you just go, they probably won't be there and they have to deal with a staffer. But like they have a lot of these big legislative days where the legislators are there, and then you set up appointments with them. And then you find out through your Chamber of Commerce when that legislative day is, and then you schedule your appointments right after theirs. And you split and conquer. The other one would be, another good one would be to partner with the disability groups or the senior citizen groups, the groups that they have to have their pictures with, and that, because those are all good. I'm a learner.
Yeah.
In that, because then you can put your paper down and say, are you going to sign this? And then when they say no, you can just take a note, okay, and go to the next one. And then because you're there in person. In person is always much more powerful, but you need to coordinate and find out when other places are going. I know Hudson Chamber, their Chamber of Commerce goes down for legislative days. The real estate people go down for legislative day. There's a quick trip legislative day. So yeah, there's tons of them.
How far in advance do you need to make those appointments?
Well, you got to start engaging now with the right people to find out, so that they tell you when they are. So like if one of you is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you'll be able to get that information. Like I said, it's probably not going to be till next winter. But yeah, they're coming up, and they're very powerful days. And next year's an off year, so they'll be down there.
Thank you.
So Patty, part of the problem is that we really need to do this before next winter, because I have been saying to many people that once it goes into the court, we have no voice anymore. So if we don't before the legislature maps, we're probably not going to.
Then also look at the legislative schedules.
Yeah,
So I just want to pitch in a little bit here, because I'm doing a lot of listening, and the reality is that we need to do this however we do it, so that when we go to court, that there is all those open records of all the contacts that were made and all of the people that were there, and we will have a voice, because the Supreme Court rejected becoming the court of original jurisdiction. And so we will be the plaintiffs, or I won't because I'm paid, but you as citizens will be the plaintiffs. And and we will have that opportunity because it will go through the lower courts. So I just need to point out that way back, we knew that this was going to be in court. And so the case that we are building is for we the people want this, and we prove it by the petitions we sign and deliver, the number of calls that we make, the ways that we show up, because it's just like Patty's saying, you know, they'll tell you one thing to your face and do a totally different thing once they get there. But if we can say, we made 800 community of interest maps and submitted to the People's Maps Commission, this proves that we have an interest. We made how many? I mean, already it's like 8,000 emails that have been sent just through the League of Women Voters portal. And that's not the individual people. Look at all of the letters to the editor that have been in papers all over the state. Look at all of the counties that have passed referendums by the voters. That's us building our case for the eventual litigation. So I agree that next winter is too late on some of that, but I don't agree that we won't have a voice. We are using our voice now, and we need to continue to use that voice all the time.
And
Everywhere.
And the sad thing is you're going to have to keep doing it over and over and over again, because most of the time, being an activist is exhausting. And it's just, sometimes it's easier to just say I did my part than it is to say, okay, I'm going to get up and bang my head against the wall again today. Hopefully someone will listen, but I'm just going to do it again. And, you know, when it matters, you just have to do it and just keep on doing it. And, you know, I mean, I'm banging my head against the wall on suicide, and I'm doing it on drug addiction and social justice and gerrymandering. My wall's got holes all over it. So, you know, it's, you know, the next guy that gets my house are going to have to worry about it. It's not going to be my problem. But it's just, that's where we are in this world and in this environment. And if you want to be heard, you know, I have been saying over and over again, we're not asking to be invited to the table anymore. We're bringing our chair and we're forcing our way in. You are going to listen to us. It's our turn for you to listen to us. We're the voters. Whether I voted for you or not doesn't matter. You represent me. You're telling me you're my representative, then you need to listen to me. And I would have far more respect for you if you would give me a reason instead of a talking point. So give me your reason. And that's, well, they can't.
Yeah. Thank you, Patty. Big round of applause. That was, we needed a little pep talk. So I feel like that's what we needed to energize our efforts a little bit more. So thank you so much. I heard many things that I have never heard before tonight. So thank you for your tricks and tips, and we'll see how we can each of us do that, but also maybe coordinate and create some resources to make it easy for people to do that. So thank you very, very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's nice to see all you guys. And I'm going to go get a can of Coors Light where the mountains are blue.
All right. Thanks a lot, Patty.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Patty?
All right. Awesome. We will, I think that probably transitions really nicely into Carlene's slides. So Carlene, you're up.
Yeah, so thanks. Thanks to everybody who came down for the rally. I don't know how many of you made it. I know for sure that Don and Ann did because they were marshals. And so we had 350 plus people. We had really good press coverage and really good energy. And I know that some people went into the Capitol afterwards and did exactly what Patty was talking about, talked to legislators who were there. So thank you for that. Our priorities for June, lots of events. We need to make more community of interest maps. We want to support the nonpartisan redistricting legislation and do everything that we can to raise awareness. So you guys are doing a great job. I went on today and counted. We're almost up to 100 maps, and easily 10 or 20% of those maps are maps that were created by WWNVD. So that's awesome. Keep it up. We love it. And there is a new portal coming, supposed to go live tomorrow. If you want to look at the Michigan portal to see what the Wisconsin portal is going to be like, it's supposed to be very much more user-friendly. There will be tutorial videos on it so that you don't have to explain everything, and so that we can begin to point people to do it without necessarily having a facilitator help them every step of the way. And one of the things that we know is that Michigan's submissions just jacked way up when this site for them went live. And so it goes live tomorrow, and we will begin doing messaging on Monday around that, and be really pouring it on for a week, and then just continuing to keep it up. We'll put up a bar graph. I think we talked about making a map of the state's congressional districts and trying to fill them up by the percentage of maps that we got on each one. And it was like, they're not really the same size. It's really, the fourth is, teeny tiny. So we nixed that idea, but we might do it and just put the percent instead of trying to fill them up with what color. But we're going to try to give some folks incentive to get maps from different congressional districts in. Right now, the 7th, the northern part of the 3rd, and the 4th, the 4th and the 6th have the most. And that's mostly due to you all and to the North Shore Fair Maps team that's doing map play, if any of you have been to that. Also, if you're doing events and you want speakers, there are a bunch of folks on this speaker request form from the Fair Maps Coalition, including Hans Breitenmoser, who's spoken to your group before, and Wendy Sue Johnson, who's down in Eau Claire, and other people. And I think I might just ask Patty if she can be a speaker as well, but we'd have to make her be nonpartisan. So that might be more difficult. Yeah, anything that this is there are 3 ways to get the petition. You can download it and print it. You can go online and sign it, or I can mail copies to you. My stack is still, about this tall, about 10 inches, 12 inches tall. I mailed some to Carol yesterday, so she should have them for your event, upcoming event. And we are about halfway to the 1,000 that we've set as the mark for sending them to legislators. So we're really trying to get a push on making sure that we get a lot of signatures on there so that we can deliver those in the next couple of weeks. And let's see, do I have any more slides on there? We're still trying to get the For the People Act passed. There's a lot of pressure coming down on Joe Manchin and others to back off on the filibuster. So if you've got energy to do that, this is another way to ensure that we get some sort of consistency around the country around ending partisan gerrymandering. And I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
Thank you, Carlene. Awesome. So the great news is that you can come to Hudson on Saturday between 3 to 5, hop and barrel. You can sign the petition. You can even get some petition pieces of paper to bring home with you to get more signatures. You can call your legislator. We'll have some sample scripts and you can just call them right there, get it over with. You can draw your map. And on top of all that, you can get a token for a $2 beer. So there's absolutely no reason not to come unless you're busy with something else. But if you're not, come. And whether you are coming or not, I encourage all of you make a list of 3 to 5 people and invite them in person. It's so easy. You know, you're just inviting people to go have a beer with some friendly people. So I really encourage you to do some personal invitations. It's great to share it on Facebook. Please do that. But there's nothing that's as good as an invitation from someone that you trust and like and a friend. So I ask you to please do that. Let's have an awesome turnout, and maybe we should start a COI map competition with Grassroots North Shore and see who can make the most maps. We'll
That sounds like fun.
encourage everyone across the state to
Hey,
to make
Janelle,
more.
where's the Hop and Barrel?
So when you're going into Hudson, it's on Main Street. So say you're coming from River Falls, many of you will be coming maybe from the east. You take the downtown Hudson exit, and then it'll be on your right as you're like getting into the downtown area. And don't be put off, but there is a fair amount of construction downtown Hudson. So parking may be a little challenging, but if you pass the Hop and Barrel and take the first right, there's a parking lot up there behind Carol Skinner's law firm. And that's free, I think, for up to 4 hours. Otherwise, there's a lot of paid parking. Go down by the river, it's beautiful, walk along the river a bit, and then come up and have a beer. But yeah.
And paid parking is cheap.
Yeah, the paid parking is cheap. Great. And mark your calendars if you haven't already. July 10th, many of us have yet to meet in person. Douglas helped us find this location, which is really centrally located for our 7 counties. So I don't think anyone has to drive more than an hour, and most of us will drive less than 30 minutes. So mark this on your calendar. Saturday, July 10th, we'll have some food catered. It'll be a really, really lovely time to just hang out and have a good time. And it's a beautiful place with paths and everything. So you can get your little exercise and woods bathing in while you're at it. So please mark your calendars for that. And because we're going to meet on July 10th in person, and because we're having summer hours, our next meeting is going to be 45 minutes instead of an hour and 15. We're not going to have a guest speaker. We'll just give you the updates, and then we'll see you on July 10th. So great. And that is all. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for your great questions for Patty. And let's take ourselves off mute and say, I will call my legislator on the count of 3. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. I will call my legislator.
I will call my legislator.
Yay. Thank you.
Yay.
Have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Janelle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.